Spring is coming, and that means it's time to gussy up the garden. And there's no better way to do that than with a couple of nice garden stones. So that's what we're going to do in this video, so stick around. Hi, I'm Steve, and I make everything. And in this video, I wanted to sit down and celebrate spring. It's finally March, and the snow is gone. And it's really time to start cleaning up the gardens. And what I thought was it would be great to engrave some stone with some inspirational sayings and, put them around the flower beds just, to kind of make things look a little nicer. So that's what I wanted to do in this video. Now, I'll start with just a quick glimpse of what I did in Inkscape. I'm not going to walk through start to finish because really it's just pasting a bunch of clip art and some text into into a single component and exporting it to a PDF file. So I'll show you a bit, but I won't go into too much detail. Then I'll drop it over into my Retina Engraved 3 software that's part of my Muse 3D laser and show you how I laid it out and scaled it. And there's a couple of tips around setting down the stone as well. And then I'll engrave it, and I'll show you the engraving as it happens, and then I'll show you the finished product. I've hopped into Inkscape, and I really didn't want to turn this into yet another Inkscape tutorial, so I'll show you what I created for the surface of my stone, and it's really just what I'd like to believe is an inspiring saying. I have made some of these before, and just a bit of a vector drawing and some words and an outline. And because these are text, what I want to do is my usual, select them and turn them into a path and combine them. And I'll do that for all of them just so that they're easier to select when we lay it down on the laser. And that will do it. Just one more. And we can also, this is already, I believe, a vector, but we'll convert it anyway just to be sure. And I did actually take the liberty of combining the two outside vectors. And if I could select them, you'll see they both get selected there. So that's really all we want to do for this. The usual, we'll save it, and then we will export a copy as PDF into my usual place where I dump projects. And find PDF. And stone sample is fine for a name, and there we go. So the next step, of course, is to put it on the laser. I'll have to turn the laser on, and then we'll drop this image into Retina Engrave, and you can see how I lay it out and the power settings and whatnot. So hang on for a second and let me get things set up. So I popped into Retina Engrave 3, the laser software, and I have my stone there. I scanned the workspace just to find out where it was. This white splotch on the side is a couple of popsicle sticks I stuck underneath just to make sure that the stone is as level as I can get it. And I'll import the object that I want to engrave. Now I'm only going to do the vector. I found rastering on stone is just a little weak, so I won't bother even trying. And so I'll drag the image over here. We'll resize it a bit so that it fits on the stone properly, and let's move it up a bit. I'm trying to avoid this nick on the side, so I'm going to make it even a little bit smaller just to avoid that completely, and that should do it. Now what I want to do is select all the text and make the text filled in, and I'll turn off the outline. I found that the outline on stone just tends to make things a little overblown, so I won't bother with that. And the rows, I will I won't bother filling it. I'll just draw the outline. That should be okay. And for power, we definitely want 100% power. We could maybe come back down a bit on the current, maybe to 95 or something. And just, it helps if you use something around the perimeter, you can draw a small rectangle or something down here just to try out your setting. Do it on the back if this thing is going to lay flat on the ground. And just to confirm, because there's so many variables with stone, you try one and it works great, and you try the next one and your settings are just not functional at all. So actually I'm going to change this back to 100. I didn't bother on this stone. I've cut this kind of stone before, so I'll just throw caution to the wind and let it go. So we're ready to get it out to the laser. What I want to do is, sorry, I'm just moving it up a bit. What I want to do is make sure that that you can see it. So I put I don't know what these errors are. I'm going to have to talk to FSL. So I put a camera inside my laser so that you can actually see how this works. So I'll go set that up, and I'll start the job, and hopefully you'll see a kind of a neat effect as the laser's working on this. So I'll pop over there now. So here you can see the finished product. The rose is well defined. Outline looks good. The text is etched in quite deeply, maybe 0.5 millimeter or so. So this is clearly permanent, and it's going to look great in the garden. So there you go. The product is finished. It looks fantastic. Hopefully you enjoyed the new camera view inside the laser. It clears away a lot of the obstruction when I'm trying to record through the top glass. The Muse has the gigantic engraved or painted M on the glass, so it tends to block a lot of things, and the head, the laser gets in the way as well. But if you like that view, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I can make sure that I do more of those. It is kind of cool to see how the laser works. Now, if you are considering a laser, if you don't already have one, and the Muse or any other FSL lasers on your list, you can check down below. I do have a coupon code down there. It's just Steve Makes Anything, and feel free to use that. It'll save you $125, and thanks to FSL for providing those codes to content creators. So use it if you're so inclined. Anyway, the total time for this project, I spent maybe 15 minutes in Inkscape laying down a couple pieces of clip art and some text, and then 5 minutes to lay it out on the laser in the Retina Engrave software and get the settings right. And it took 8 minutes to do the engraving. So it was very quick, a half an hour investment, and you get something kind of spectacular out of it. And so give it a try. The best part of this is stone is free, so it doesn't cost you anything for the material other than a trip to the beach or some other source of stone. Just make sure the stone is as flat as you can get it. And there is a lot of allowance for error. Kind of a tip on stone is if you do have kind of curves and dimples in the rock where the laser didn't quite etch correctly, you can there's a couple things you can do. You can just re-engrave the entire image, or you can, if you're using vectors, you can actually select individual pieces, so individual text, and then set the focus of your laser where that text is on the stone, so that if it's a little lower or a little higher than the rest, that area will get the proper amount of etching. So you can do the whole text or just a single element, and you can save yourself from quite a few mistakes with stone. So, don't worry about it. And if you really do mess it up, throw it away back on the beach and get another one. So with that, we'll call it a video. And hopefully you got something out of it and are inspired to try this. As I mentioned in the materials video, stone is one of the favorite materials for me because it is so unpredictable. It's always a surprise when it works. And sometimes you get even better results than you ever expected. So with that, I'll see you next time, and make your world. Go have fun.